get this lined up. So I guess I can't really move this further away. Some mustache wax because of my beardedness. So, okay. So today I am going to be drawing, you guys can see me chatting on here. That's all right. What are you going to do? Today I'm going to be drawing one of my robots, one of these solar punky robots. We're just going to be doing the pencils today. Whoa, the chat hides automatically. That's so silly. We're just going to be doing the pencils today. I want to put it on a bigger piece of paper so that, and fancier paper so that I can ink a large piece instead of doing one of these small guys. So I think that'll be really fun. I'll put these here as inspiration. Hang on. There we go. Hi, Oddfoot. Welcome, welcome. So I'm going to use a piece of felt. Looks pretty clean to protect the paper. You know, it's funny. I always thought it was just not to get, you know, pencil on it, but it's also important, like, to get the grease and like, you're not grease, but the natural oils from your skin. You don't want that on there either. You don't want to, like, if it's hot, you don't want the moisture from your skin on there either. This girl shouldn't be talking about it. Anyway, so yeah, I want to try to draw. I'm looking for my brush that I usually use to wipe away the dust. I cannot find it. I can use this brush for now, but I prefer the other one. All right. Oh well. Yeah. So we're going to draw one of these robots. So I always draw these just based on things that I've seen. I recently saw a funnel. I know, like, just a little bit ago. So I'm going to use a funnel as the basis for this guy. This is pretty, I'm sticking to being light on this so that if we need to erase, we can. So here we go. I hope you guys can see this. It's hard to tell on the camera what you guys can see and what you can't see. And then sometimes I go back and watch the video and you can see so much and I'm like, oh my, okay, good. And sometimes I spend so much time trying to make sure everyone can see, and then, like, it doesn't matter. No one can see anything anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna do like a coupling here. So the idea behind these robots, originally it was just, the whole idea in my head was just robots that like nature. And then as time went on, instead of being robots that just like nature, here's a couple examples for people who just showed up. This is what we're working on today, except a larger version. And then as time went on, instead of just being robots that like nature, it turned into like these solar punk robots, like in the future, who not only like nature, but also like really want to preserve it, want to work on it, want to like be part of the world. And then I added tardigrades in, and then these tardigrades became like the friends of the robots, and they've like developed an entire like mythos over the last couple of weeks as I started drawing these on the live stream. So I'm just kind of going with and inventing stuff as I go. I'm just trying to make these feel creative, feel alive. So this will be the antenna stack. Oh, hi, Elstefan. And then we'll kind of, here we go. This will be the top of the robot, some antenna. We'll have it be a couple, this will be coupled, is that what it's called? A coupling. If you use a coupling, does that mean something's coupled? Probably. We'll get these guys going. Let's put in some tardigrades. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think we'll have a, why don't we have a tardigrade driving? I think that works pretty good. We'll do some, we'll do like a control panel. This will be a piece of glass, and we'll put a tardigrade right in here. He's kind of, let's do the, there we go. He's kind of like maybe sitting. I don't know if tardigrades really sit, or if they could really sit, but I think that works as a little tardigrade. Tardigrades are interesting. They come in 8 or 6 parts. Sorry, 8 or 6 legs. So we'll put a little tardigrade driving this. This is going to be a big robot. Let's do just a little bit of propulsion here. I want to do something here to like, that's keeping itself up. So sometimes these robots just fly because it's the future, but lately I've been liking to add something to sort of make that make sense. So I did a big balloon on a previous one. I did a propeller. Let's do like a sort of propeller sort of on the bottom, like a hovercraft sort of thing. We'll just do big propeller energy. Let's move that over a little. Yeah, we'll have like this propeller down here. And then we'll do another one here. There we go. Yeah, so I've been wanting to, I've been talking to a lot of people about these guys, these little solar robots. And I've been thinking a lot about how like part of why I like them so much is that they are inherently whimsical, right? These are not based in science. These are not based in like magic exactly. They're sort of based just in some sort of imagined future, uh, and like a world parallel to our own. Like this doesn't exist in our world, and it even in the future this doesn't exist in our world. This is not meant to be part of our universe at all. This is sort of like a window into something else. And that's some of my favorite fiction is it doesn't take place in the real world. It takes place in some alternate reality or some imagined reality. And so for example in this one we have robots and tardigrades like working together, and maybe these are the tardigrades that got left on the moon. Maybe these are moon robots in billions of years when the tardigrades have terraformed the world, the moon. Okay. Sort of wish I had drawn this a little bit smaller, but that's all right. I think we'll make the robot itself like very small, and we'll this will be grass down here, so that'll give it an idea of scale, which is unusual. All right, and let's do a big light on the front. We'll do like a, let's do a big square, like a rectangular sort of. I work with these big square like LED light panels. Let's do one of those. Sort of have it be attached. So I think one of the things I really like about doing these is how creative, like they're not, they don't even have to be accomplishing anything in particular. So I do think it's important to make sure that everything I draw on one of these robots um, has a purpose, or an imagined purpose, I guess is the idea. But there's no real world. I'm not setting out. It's not that there's no real world. I'm not setting out to make this a thing that has to exist or has to make sense. I'm not setting out with any goal in mind except for interacting with nature in some way. And I guess like feeling fun or feeling good. So am always tempted to do a lot of shading because that's what I do in my other work. But I think with these robots, now that I'm painting them, I want to be careful not to do too much shading because I want that to be partly done with the, or I want that to be wholly done with the inks that will be inking it when I paint it later. So as an example, I've probably shown these a billion times. These are the robots we're going with. This is the start. This one's much bigger than these guys. All right. So I think this will be a big light. I think that looks really nice. We'll have it have uh, struts, connectors. There'll be one on the other side, but we won't be able to see it. And we'll have ones back here doing the same thing. Oh, maybe there'll be like a big kill switch. Or like just a hard switch. I'm trying to think what this is called when it's like a... I don't know if my audio is... Am I very quiet? I can never tell. I don't know if my audio is... Am I very quiet? Oh yeah, my audio is terrible. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, hopefully that's much better. All right, I'm liking this so far, but let's do something more. Okay, I think we just have to start adding shapes on and seeing what comes up. So I like this coupling here. I like these antenna type dealios, sort of like based on some wire. Let's add another like coupling up here, or like something to hold it all together. I think like that'll be nice. So part of the story with these robots is that they are falling into disrepair. They've been around for an unknown amount of time. And as time has gone on, they are just in less and less good shape. And that is why they started making an alliance or a friendship with the tardigrades, because these tardigrades are like helping them out. Ooh, let's put in Super Mario Brothers 3, they have these like hatches. submarines have hatches. Let's put a little like hatch. I should have done so there's two types of handles. There's the one that's like has the 3 prongs, and then there's the one that's a circle. I regret doing the circle one. I should have done the 3 prongs one. I think it would be easier to like tell what it was. That's all right. We'll clean this up. We'll get them a little bit more. All right. So it can sometimes happen, right? Is on YouTube, if you don't generate interest right away, it won't like stop showing you to people, but it'll stop showing you to people. Like maybe not 100%, but nearly. And a lot of it just has to do, not like if people don't stay, because people just don't stay, right? That's like, unless you're intentionally coming to watch somebody's live, you're not going to like stay around usually. Like some people will, and that's great. Welcome, welcome. But often, you know, you're doing something else. You were here to scroll shorts, not to watch a live. And so it makes sense that people aren't sticking around. Uh, but what can happen is if people don't stick around at all and they scroll off immediately, that can be really, oh, hi, Aubrey, welcome. That can be really detrimental. And so when your audio is really bad right in the beginning, as mine was today, or sometimes like I've had the video be really weird and cut out, be like really low quality, that can definitely cause like nobody to be shown your video, your live stream, which is what I think is going to happen today. Because we had a really good bump in the beginning, and usually people stick around at least a little bit, but everyone just bounced. That's what made me think to check the audio, was how unpopular I seemed today. And it was bad. But you know that because you're watching in the future. So you've watched the first part where the audio was bad. Or maybe I cut it out. Maybe I went in and did a little edit. Anyway, I don't mean to talk about that. It's just got me thinking. It can be disheartening. But that's all. I need to do this work. I really am excited. I love drawing these robots. So it's not something I wouldn't do anyway. All right. Oh, cool, Aubrey. Thank you. I think let's put a little something. So one thing I like to try to think about is the rules of real life electronics and robots. And I try to like, I don't know, use that to inspire. And so I often will use like heating or cooling rather. Like cooling vents, like on the back of a computer or refrigerator or something, you need airflow. And I assume these robot guys also need airflow. So sometimes I'll draw things like this, and it's just meant to be like a little vent that air can escape from or get into. It's crazy how hot electronics get nowadays. I mean, I think all the days, but just it's crazy how hot electronics get, is what I could say. I'm trying to make this look the proper type of three-dimensional. But I mentioned before, I don't want to do too much shading because I want to save that for the paints for the color. There we go. And we'll put some tabs on to make it look like It's attached here. You won't see the tabs back there. They'll be hidden, but let's put some on here. And I don't know what shape the bottom of this guy will have. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, take care of yourself, Aubrey. Sometimes you can just have a headachy day. But I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much. Always good to see regulars. Little switch. Oh yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. I think we can add some texture detail to this guy. Sort of help break up the flow. Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's good to have you. All right, yeah. Make sure you don't get, what is it? I guess you're supposed to, I don't know. Are you supposed to like turn off all your electronics and stuff in a thunderstorm? I have never done that, but I feel like my grandma always told me I had to, and I should. I know like there's like all sorts of stuff you're not supposed to do in a thunderstorm. Yeah, probably before. Yeah, I guess maybe the power went out a lot more often. It's better. It's definitely better to turn off your stuff. I wonder like circuit breakers were less good, and I wonder if like electronics could get fried from certain like power surges in the in the system, like down the line. Like, oh hey, mint mocha. Oh, I'm sorry, I hate the sound of thunder. Yeah, so today I'm drawing a like solar punk robot. Usually I do them a little bit smaller like this, and then I'm going to ink them and or ink this one. But I decided to do a big one, and they have little like tardigrade friends, these big robots, or the robots in general. And I tried to draw a couple big ones before, and I just like beefed it. But today I'm going to try to draw this big one, and it's coming out good. So far I'm liking this a lot. I'm going to do probably like a lookout tower on the back. So this shape might be a little hard to see, but in my imagination, it's sort of flat up front, and then it kind of curves around like this. So like, oh, thanks so much. Yeah, so I'm gonna put, this is like a hatch, but behind it on the backside coming out, we're gonna have like a tower where another tardigrade is looking out. Usually I only put one tardigrade per, um, not for me. Yeah, thunder, like I totally understand why thunder can be scary. Uh, I've always liked it in general, but even though I like it, sometimes it's scary. So all right, especially when it like shakes your bones. So yeah, usually I only put one tardigrade in per robot, and we have one down here, but this robot is so much bigger that I think I'll add a second tardigrade, at least another one, like up here and sort of like a lookout. Uh, so I imagine these tardigrades are like maybe not operating the robot exactly, because I do think it's a robot and it like will have its own sentience. It's doing its own thing, but in some ways they're helping the robot, right? That's why the robot and the tardigrades are friends. This reminds me of that. Is it Oklahoma, the musical? Where it's like, the robot and the tardigrade are friends. The robot and the tardigrade are friends. I think it's the cow the cowboy and the farmer. The cowboy and the farmer should be friends. That's the song. The The tardigrade and robots should be friends. So we're drawing a tardigrade friend in this solar punk future robot. The tardigrades help repair these guys because the robots, they're really good at lots of stuff, but self-repair they've reached their limit, right? They've been doing it for an unknown amount of time. And finally, they reached their limit and they had to ask for help. And so they asked the tardigrades. This tardigrade is a little messy, so we'll probably come back and clean him up. Oh yeah, when the power just shuts off on you and you don't expect it, that is very scary. I don't like that at all. I've been in 2 long-term blackouts that I can remember, and I know I was in more as a kid. But when I was a teenager, we had it. I lived on the East Coast during this huge blackout of East Coast United States, and we lost power for almost a week in the middle of the summer, maybe even more than a week. It's interesting because I have tons of memories from that time period. We listened to like a old vitriola, like basically a record player that you cranked in order to get it to play. And then maybe I don't have tons of memories. That's my main memory. I read a lot of books as a kid. I don't read a ton of books now. I just don't have a lot of time. But yeah, it was a week, and then even like a few years ago. No, it's longer now. Like 10 years ago, uh, there was one for 4 or 5 days, and that was also really bad. And you have to like cook all the food in the house, and like if it's summer, you have to figure out how to keep cool. If it's winter, which I've been in one in the winter, you have to figure out how to keep warm. It's yeah. Yeah, I think I'll turn this tardigrade. I'm gonna work on him right now because he's bothering me. No offense, not you, tardigrade, your appearance. That's probably not better. I'm gonna erase to clean off the eraser. I erase like just off the actual paper on the piece that's gonna get torn off. Because sometimes with these erasers, every eraser I've ever used, sometimes if you go to erase and it has some of this like this sort of like black part on it, which is just pencil, it will smear onto the page and you just can't erase it. For whatever reason, it gets stuck on there forever. So after I've done that to a couple of pieces that were otherwise really good and had to either work around it or start again, I just kind of I make sure that I clean my eraser before I actually put it to page. All right, yeah, so I'm just gonna, so tardigrades are basically a bunch of like, I don't know, like tuna cans stuck next to each other. So I'm gonna have this one kind of be turned towards us, at least with his arms. And then we'll draw in like controls for him to be using. Yeah, there we go. This looks much better. So they're very, very small. They're micro animals. I learned a lot about them because I was drawing them I guess like a couple of weeks ago now. And I did a lot of research on them because they're fun. It's fun to research. Anyway, that's enough. And yeah, they're micro animals. They're just in between, or they're just, because they're not single celled, but like there are some single celled life forms that are smaller or just almost as big as tardigrades. So it's like a really interesting, anyway, they're all like folded up. They sort of look like crumpled paper or origami, like sort of random origami, AI origami. All right, so I like that. I like that. This guy, he looks much better. Almost good. There, that's it. I like him a lot better now. Okay. Ooh, on the last one, I really enjoyed it. On the last one, I did a bunch of places. No, I had some here on this one. You can see it. I have like flowers coming out of the spots. Let's do the same thing, but with mushrooms. Oh yeah, thunder and rain. Stay safe, stay dry. What do they say? Like, don't go under any big trees if you get stuck outside. Okay. Yeah, let's do like a panel here. And let's have it like peeled back on one of the sides. And yeah, like that. And then we'll have mushrooms be growing out of it. So this will probably get covered, but let's let's sketch it in still so that it looks right. Oh yeah, this will be a little bit smaller than the actual opening. Yeah, so this little square, this triangle down here, this will be where the mushrooms grow out of. They're somehow growing inside the machine and they've pushed stuff out of the way. Yeah, I like this. We'll do mushroom heads. And we'll have them, I don't know, do mushrooms seek light? Like, I know plants will often seek light, but are mushrooms, they grow in the dark often, right? So they're probably not seeking light. Are they just trying to get like a good perch to drop their seeds from? Makes you wonder. Oh, it makes me wonder. Okay, let's do a couple more, and let's maybe leave it a little underdeveloped. Maybe like more mushrooms are coming out, and that way you can still see the, or yeah, we'll draw some down here even. And that way you can still see that it's an open hatch or an open hole in the side of the ship. All of a sudden, I went from robot to ship. It's definitely a robot. Okay. And then we'll have this bent metal we can put in. Yeah, like that. A little bit of texture, but again, I'm going to paint these afterwards, so I want to make sure that there's work for the paint to do still. I don't want to do all the work with my pencil. That's what I'm used to doing because I usually don't paint. Well, no, I do. I paint. Uh, I paint my pieces a lot, but I still will often do a lot of shading. Partly, I think it's because like if I scan them in and do the illustration, the color digitally, which is something I do very often, I can just erase the shading there. I don't have to. But if I'm doing it with paint, I don't want to have to go through and physically erase the shading. That can be a lot of work for not a good reward. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have a tiny eraser. Here it is. I'm just gonna clean up these stems and then we'll move on to doing the next something. Yeah, so I try not to do all my cleanup as I go necessarily. I like to, well, I naturally want to do my cleanup as I go, but I find that that can like stifle my creative flow. And flow, I think, is one of the most important parts of creativity because you're accessing parts of your brain that you can't access when you're thinking about it, right? You're not thinking, you're just doing. And I think that can make such a huge difference in the level and type of creativity that you have when you're working on it. So I find that if I do too much cleanup as I go, I like lock in on certain stuff, and that can really hamper my creative flow. All right, I like the mushrooms. Let's move on to the next thing. Oh, Sapley, welcome, welcome. Yeah, I was reading your apple beret. I really like that idea. Like some sort of, I was thinking like a badger with an apple beret would be hilarious. I mean, good. All right. I'm trying to think. We'll do some, we'll put in some controls for this guy. Some big levers, levy levers. Okay, that's good. Like that a lot. Let's put like a control arm for this guy. I don't know why it's coming out here, but he's controlling like a control arm for sampling maybe. No, don't worry about it, Sapley. I took a few days off. We have we're moving. I don't know. I probably have said this 1,000 times. We're moving, and so we had to find an apartment. So we went and did that kind of search, checked out the city we're moving to, made sure that everything was copacetic there. Is it copacetic? Copacetic? Ah, hunky dory. Made sure everything was hunky dory there. Ooh, why don't I put like a seed or something here? Like he's actually picked something up. I like that. So yeah, I didn't stream a lot. I think I streamed yesterday and then I streamed like almost a week ago. So all right. Yeah, I tried to do a large version of the robot another time. Oh, and it really like I felt overwhelmed and I just couldn't do it. So it feels pretty good today. I like it a lot. Oh, did I finish my tea? Man, sometimes my brain is a million places. Like, did I finish my tea? Who knows, right? Okay. I don't know what. So one of the things I often do, and I'm not sure why, is I just go back and I'll just keep adding detail. I think it's really important. I think it you don't get to these like these guys. You don't get to this without going over and over and like going back and doing work. And ooh, that reminds me, I should do some wires, some plugs. Ah, they are tardigrades. I don't know what inspired me, but I was doing some robots and I decided to put little tardigrades in. I had just done the tardigrade maybe like a week before that. And for whatever reason, I was like, oh, these robots have tardigrade friends. And in my mind, the tardigrades and the robots like are friends, and the tardigrades help them out by doing like repairs and stuff. Maybe there'll be a bunch of seeds in here. I don't know when Yeah, we'll do a bunch of seeds in here for now. Like eggs. No, seeds. Seeds, I always thought of seeds as like eggs for plants. It's sort of true. Maybe it's mostly true. Yeah, we haven't moved in like 5 years. We moved because of the 2020 of it all. And we never like meant to end up where we are. So it's nice to move like with intention. Ooh, tardigrades. Yeah, they are. I'm trying to see if I have just a drawing of one. No. Okay. So they are these little micro animals. They are like, they're microscopic. They're only like a millimeter or half a millimeter. Uh, they have 8 legs and they have big, like tubey bodies. Tardigrade means like water bear. I think a lot of the scientists who named them that like really thought they looked like bears. And they sort of do when you see them like bumbling around on their legs. Yeah, I made them a little close together here. I mean, a little far apart. So they usually have 8 legs with little claws. They just have like a hole for a face. I don't know why. And they come in 4 sections plus a little head. I don't think they have any sort of tail thing going on. They usually live on moss. So they've also been called moss piglets. And there's another name for them, but I can't remember. Yeah, you'll often see them like having eaten something, or because of they're so small and they're like kind of see-through a lot of the time. One fact that I remember about them is basically if you go find some moss or lichen anywhere near your house and you study it and you catalog. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. That could really, I could see that because they're just like well, you know, it's so important to them that these robots uh stay safe, and like they're like, we can handle it. We've had electricity run through us before. Just a little panel. Huh. I definitely have to work on this side. Okay, I'm going to push this over a little. I think I'm going to, I haven't worked on the like propellers on the bottom, but they're there. So I will. I like what they look like even now. So I don't think they need too much work, just a little cleanup, a little uh, like hard lines. We'll also do something on the bottom. I'm going to do these like dangling bits I've done on one before. Yeah, so I think like right now they are helping the robots on their little mission for when they're in here. I think some of them might live in or on the robots, but I think most of them will live, my guess is most of them live like just in nature, separate. But they know the robots, so if the robots come by, they'll be like, oh, I'll go on an adventure. Yeah, like I wonder what it would be like if you're a tardigrade in this universe. You're just like this tiny little guy, and then like this. I mean, some of them are small, but these like sentient little these sentient robots show up, and they do things that are totally unimaginable to you. Like you don't know how they work. You'll probably never really know how they work. And the crazy part is the robots don't really know how they work either. And they feel like they're something from the future, but they're actually from the far past. No, I don't think they're a pirate ship, but I could see some tardigrades being um, less than ethical, and maybe like I don't want to believe that this would happen, but I could imagine it happening, like forcing the robots to do their bidding. But mostly in my imagination, they are just all super friendly. The robots have this mission. We don't know why, but they are out there cataloging and taking care of nature. And the tardigrades are just like living their lives, and they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, I like that. Like one evil tardigrade. And maybe he like has tricked other tardigrades. He really like most of the tardigrades are just totally happy to like the robots will help them find new moss or feed them or whatever, and they are totally happy to help the robots do their mission, even though it doesn't really make sense to them. But they're like, well, yeah, if you need help, why not? But then they never care. They're like, how do these guys work? We don't know. It doesn't matter. Um, it's somebody who needs help, so we help them. But then you have one tardigrade who's like, we don't even know how they work. And every other tardigrade is like, we know, Steve, it's fine. It doesn't, that's okay. We don't need to know how it works. And he's like, no, you don't understand. We don't know how they work. And they're like, right, we've never known how they work. Nothing's changed from last time you said that. And he just cannot live in a world where he doesn't know how something works. Sad. It's hard. You have to, so he pretends to volunteer maybe for one of the smaller robots. No, no, I think the robots are sort of maybe they're even a collective. I'm not sure. So far the robots are just I wrote a little story. I haven't like gotten past the outline. So maybe there would be like a main character robot. But as of right now, it's just that the robots are on their mission to protect the scientist tardigrade like turns into the Truman Show to protect nature or catalog nature or something like that, and they're just falling apart. And the robots don't really want anything to do with the tardigrades at first because to the robots that's just nature, right? They're like, oh, that doesn't make sense. That's just a bit of nature. But the tardigrades are just like, hey, we're just gonna fix you because you're obviously falling apart. And once they do that, then the robots reluctantly at first start like allowing the tardigrades to help them. So I think like all the modifications to the robots, I mean, the robots will make modifications to themselves also, but a lot of the modifications to the robots will be done by the tardigrades. Yeah, like at first these were like seeds, but I guess now they're like sort of little maybe rocks and seeds. All right. yeah, so moving soon. I will probably take some time off of streaming for another week or so. In in a few in a few Probably next week I won't stream after this. Wait, what's today? Saturday. So yeah, I don't usually stream Sunday or Monday, and then I'll probably stream Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe Tuesday. Oh yeah, yeah. So in in my imagination, the robots, they were collecting data for a third party, but that was like maybe even hundreds of thousands of years ago. And the robots were built really well, but they've just been around forever. And so because of that, that's why they're like falling apart, is they've been around for a really long time. So I'm kind of inspired because of Star Trek. No, sorry, Star Wars. So in Star Wars, the androids, nobody really understands where they came from. They're ancient. We don't know who built them. We don't know. We can't recreate them. Like the androids work because the androids work. You can repair them. You can put them together. Yeah, yeah. The third party probably went extinct. That's my idea. And I kind of think that the third party is humans from thousands of years ago, and now they're just not there anymore. This will be a propeller that helps drive the robots for the robot forward. Yeah, so then the story will be that they do start working together. All right, it'll be mainly talking about, oh my gosh, yeah, like a like a Twilight Zone where you're like, oh no, this is happening right in front of your face. Oh, I wanted this to actually be facing more like this way. I can't draw it this way. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna attach a propeller onto here. Ah, this is, oh man, this is, okay. Uh, hmm. Okay, yeah. Oh, what if I do this? So if you draw an X, where the lines meet will be the center of the plane, no matter how it's shaped um, in perception. Okay, so that's not terrible. Yeah, so this plane now, its center is here on the spindle that I drew. I guess most of this will be covered. Well, let's move it. Let's turn it a little bit more. Yeah, yeah. I just watched a review. Sometimes, I'm sure everyone does this. I watch reviews of, yeah, so I think no organic beings inside the robots. That's why they've lasted so long, but like also they sort of need them, and that's why it's so good that the tardigrades are there. Okay, I'm just gonna do 4. I'll shape them up after. It's hard for me to see, like, if this even makes sense. I got too focused on, like, the planes, trying to make sure it was, like, perfectly centered and all that stuff, when really what's important is if it looks right. This does not look right. But that's all right. Sometimes if I'm having trouble with propellers, I will turn it more into like a pinwheel type thing, so that has like a straight line and then around, and then I sort of work backwards from that. Yeah, it's starting to look better. Yeah, messy, but I don't really want, I'm not feeling inspired to work on this propeller. I like the idea of the propeller. I definitely want to use it, but that's good enough for right now. I want to work on something else. Okay. Let's do like a couple antennas off the back. I'm using my pencil. It's 2B. No, sorry. This is an HB. It's the lead I have in here is probably this lead. And that makes it much more easy to erase than what I usually use, which is a 2B pencil. It's a double, like a black, very soft lead. Not very, more black and more soft lead than your usual number 2 pencil. All right. I tried pecan Snickers today. Pecan, pecan, pecan. I've heard nobody say pecan Snickers. Okay. Man, have you ever seen people have the ham radios and they have like giant antennas coming off in their backyards, like over trees? They're often like what are they called? Like whip something antennas. They're crazy. I'm gonna do, let's have some like a crack here in the casing and have some mushrooms growing out. I think that'll be good. Yeah, so for the robot storyline, I have lots of ideas, but when I was outlining it, it felt like it would be smart to um, sort of leave it all up in the air, leave it unsaid, and let people imagine their own solutions to the world. I think like often that's one of the best parts of a movie or in comics. This happens all the time in comics. Is they just don't tell you why something happens or why something is. They just tell you it is this way. This is how it's that way, but they don't, or this is maybe sometimes why, but they don't tell you how, or they don't tell you the why. They don't tell you like all the details. Oh, hey, Aubrey. Oh no. The robots. Yeah, I think the robots wouldn't care. Like, I think if squirrels came up, and this might be like why a lot of the robots are in disrepair, but I think if like squirrels came up and stole from them and even like took them around. I think the robots, they're sort of like, they're stoic. They're just there to do their job, and their job is to help, right? So they're contributing. Yeah, so my idea was you'd have this story where you have these robots and you know that they're really old and you know that they are working by themselves and they're sort of abandoned, but you don't know like where they came from or why. And you know the tardigrades are there and you know the tardigrades are smart and they can like talk and stuff, but you don't know. I did that too hard. You don't know why they're smart or anything like that. Blue raspberry is a good flavor. I hadn't had blue raspberry since I was a kid, or in a long time. Maybe I had it as a young adult, I'm not sure. And I had it recently. I can't remember for what. Oh, we went to the candy store. We went to the candy store. No, we went to the candy store and they had these big gummy bears, giant bear containers. Yeah, I could see there being in fact, I bet you there are other uh robots, especially if this is like the future of Earth, and that's part of why these robots have come from, then you would assume there would be other robots. I think, because I was thinking too, there's tardigrades on the moon because there was an experiment that was supposed to test tardigrades in space, and they had it orbiting around the moon, and then it was supposed to crash back down to Earth. It was supposed to deorbit. I think that's what it was supposed to do. Anyway, it didn't do any of that, just crashed onto the moon. And we're pretty sure tardigrades can just live on the moon. And so there's life on the moon. Also, NASA released that information where they think there might be life on Mars. It's the best evidence we've had for life on Mars. That's pretty cool. Basically, we know there's an organic. Ooh, I don't think I've had any freeze-dried candy. I really like freeze-dried apples. I've had some freeze-dried mango. I used to work at a toy store and we always had freeze-dried ice cream because it's like astronaut food or whatever they call it. And so we always had that, and sometimes I would try that. I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me. Okay, I'm gonna put some bolts on here, or some nuts and bolts. Can't really see this one, but it's there. Same with that. Yeah, yeah. At the toy store I worked at, we had astronaut food. We had something else like snacky, but we really only carried two snacks, and they weren't snacks. They were like part of the science section. So like astronauts, science. So it'd be like right next to the, like, excavate your own clump of dirt to find dinosaur bones, that kind of thing. And then astronaut food. Ah, I can't remember what the other snack was. Gosh, yeah, I don't know. All right, so I want another tardigrade, I think, like kind of sticking out the back. Like, all right, maybe, yeah, like watching out the back here. Oh, yeah, it was probably rock candy. Bye, Aubrey. Feel better. Ah, rock candy. I made rock candy when I was young. It was fun. Okay, yeah, I think we'll have like a tunnel sort of coming out at an angle. This is annoying to draw, but I think it'll look good. With a piece of glass on the front where there's a tardigrade. Another like tardigrade, I guess like viewport. Yeah, but Sapily, like you're making up all these great ideas. And I think that's really awesome. And I think that's exactly what I'm aiming for. I don't think that's exactly what I'm aiming for. I don't think at all. With these drawings is I want them to be sort of a canvas for the imagination. And so I don't want to nail down any specific canon really. Because I think it'll be more fun if you just like have no idea. So I was saying that's in comics. Often you'll have something in comics that, it's just never had an explanation, but we all know this is what it does. And then when it gets explained, right, like often there'll be a movie or something, and they'll be like, oh, the reason Spider-Man can do X, Y, and Z is because of C, D, and L. And then like it ruins it. You're like, oh, there was so much more. Yeah, yeah. Like there was so much more potential. Like that's a dumb reason, or like just I imagined it. The reason in my imagination was better, or like there's a million different reasons why it might not be as good as like leaving something unsaid. And so there's lots of like blub blub. We uh, the blub blub storyline that has some pretty straightforward, some pretty solid things. It's not like all left to the imagination, although some of it certainly is. Um, but I think for the tardigrade robot combo, I think the most fun is going to be like just having these drawings and like a very loose story, and then like imagining what the heck is going on, like why they are like this and what they're doing and all that. I'm trying to think of if there's any stories like that when I was a kid. Oh, take care. Bye, Sapley. Yeah, seriously. I just heard a mouse like actually very loud. It was weird. It scared me. In the last like 2 weeks, all of a sudden there's been a million mice in the house. It sucks. All right, on that note, the scary mouse, Sapley leaving. Oh my gosh, I found my brush that I was looking for before. Yeah, I have to I'm going to go see what that scary mouse was. See if I need to put another one of those sonic disruptors. But thanks so much for coming. We'll work more on this tomorrow. Wait, tomorrow's Sunday? Yeah, I'll stream tomorrow. We'll work more on this tomorrow. We'll finish off some of the pencils, and maybe we'll even get started on the inking. That'll be really fun. Now, hopefully they'll look something like this, but better and bigger. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.